present a gigantic two-handed German sword. It's in great condition, but I really need Craig to give me more insight on this before I can make a move on it.
Imagine walking into a pawn shop carrying a sword rumored to be worth $10 million. A relic steeped in family lore and history. What would you do when the man behind the counter, a seasoned dealer, reacts not with excitement, but quiet hesitation? This isn't just about a stunning artifact. It's about how stories, proofs, and doubts collide when fortune and authenticity hang in the balance. Here's a tale of one worn blade and one unforgettable moment that reveals the hard truth behind priceless claims. The $10 million sword mystery. The story begins when a man walks into a pawn shop carrying what appears to be an ordinary worn sword. It is said to be the Ashfield saber, a relic passed down through generations with rumors placing its value as high as $10 million. At first glance, the sword doesn't scream wealth or grandeur. Instead, its blade is dulled by age, and its ornate hilt, while detailed, shows signs of fading, hardly the gleam one might expect from a priceless artifact. The astounding claim immediately raises questions. How does a simple family heirloom transform into a potential multi-million-dollar treasure? The sword's history and provenance become the currency that might justify such a staggering price. But in the world of pawn shops, stories like these are common. Many items carry family legends that outpace the proof, making the dealer's job one of separating fact from fiction. Rick Harrison's reaction to the sword is notable, not with swift excitement or dismissal, but with cautious curiosity. His first instinct is to ask questions, not to touch the sword. The key to any big-ticket item isn't just its appearance or story, it's what can be proven. Without solid provenance, even the most extraordinary claims are just stories. The weight of uncertainty hangs in the air as the seller offers fragments of family history without concrete documentation. This incomplete chain of custody leaves gaps that are uncomfortable in the realm of high-value collectibles. For Rick, the story's imperfections may actually lend credibility. After all, honesty often comes with some admission of unknowns, something rehearsed tales tend to omit. Despite the sword's aged appearance and uncertain history, there is enough intrigue to warrant a closer look. The presence of an imperial eagle emblem and military-style design suggests it could be a German lieutenant's sword from the Second World War era. But authenticity must be proven beyond decoration. The difference between a priceless relic and a well-crafted reproduction is in the details. Security and skepticism are paramount here. The stakes are as high as the dollar value claimed. If genuine, the sword could attract buyers with resources sometimes exceeding those encountered in typical pawnshop transactions, including museums or private collectors with deep pockets. Yet, these high stakes only make certainty more crucial. Rick knows every piece with $1 million story needs verification, and this sword's legend alone is far from enough. He remains silent, letting the facts shape his evaluation rather than the allure of a fortune. This careful approach is essential when millions hang in the balance. What started as a blurred relic in a glass case now demands scrutiny, and the truths behind the Ashfield saber are waiting to be uncovered. The sword's story, though fascinating, is just the first layer of complexity in a delicate negotiation of value and trust. The story behind the relic. The seller's tale is rooted deeply in family history. He explains the sword was acquired by his grandfather during the Second World War, a time filled with stories of bravery and intense conflict. According to lore, the sword belonged to a soldier who served under General Ashfield, a name synonymous with legendary military campaigns of that era. Passing down through generations, this sword has become more than metal. It holds the weight of personal and historical legacy. Yet, there are unavoidable gaps in the documentation. The family admits they never had formal paperwork, or full military records linking the sword explicitly to General Ashfield or specific battles. This absence of definitive proof introduces uncertainty and undermines a critical element known as provenance, the verified history of ownership that collectors prize above all. Such gaps are common with war relics, especially those handed down informally. Papers get lost, memories fade, and sometimes stories inflate with each retelling. These factors make it difficult to establish a concrete chain of custody, which challenges both sellers and buyers looking for assurance. Despite the fragile narrative, the seller's honesty about uncertainties lends a hint of authenticity. Unlike fabricated tales, partial recollections and missing records often reflect real family memories tangled with time. This element of imperfection makes the story more believable, even as it raises caution. Adding to the intrigue, the sword itself exhibits design elements consistent with German military craftsmanship from the era. The imperial eagle and crown insignia carved into the hilt are accurate symbols used during that period. Such features provide a tangible connection to history, suggesting this is no ordinary souvenir, but potentially a genuine artifact. Nevertheless, design alone cannot confirm origin or value. It is craftsmanship and surrounding proof combined that weigh most heavily in authentication. Even expert examiners must navigate the fine line between artifact and reproduction, especially when no two swords have exactly comparable sales or documented histories. The uniqueness of the sword underscores why estimating its value proves so complicated. War relics tied to singular moments come with no standard market to benchmark price. Their worth is often as much about belief in significance as actual selling history. For everyone involved, the challenge becomes balancing respect for history with the hard business truths of how much that story can be trusted and afforded. With the story told, but questions remaining, the atmosphere in the pawn shop slowly shifts as everyone waits for the next step, an expert's detailed inspection. In this quiet tension, the dynamics of high-stakes appraisal begin to assert themselves clearly. Pawn shop dynamics and first impressions. The arrival of a potentially priceless sword changes the usual rhythm of the pawn shop. On a typical day filled with routine trades and sightseeing tourists, the energy subtly tightens when such an item appears. Observers and staff alike are drawn closer, conversations soften, and the air fills with anticipation. Even without flashy presentation from the seller, the sword commands attention by its very presence. This moment is marked by unspoken signals, the slight hesitation before opening the display case, the care taken in revealing the sword as if it might crumble with a wrong touch. These gestures imbue the object with a weight beyond metal or age. Such silent theater reflects the respect such relics inspire, even amid the skepticism that follows. Rick Harrison's approach exemplifies experience meeting caution. Rather than rush to handle the sword, he begins with questions, probing the story, the history, and the existence of paperwork. These initial inquiries are crucial. They set the tone for the entire negotiation and reveal much about the seller's credibility. Every pawn shop deal depends heavily on provenance. What an item looks like matters far less than what can be proven about its journey through time. Rick listens closely, noticing not just facts, but how the story's gaps and uncertainties play out. This subtle assessment informs whether excitement or suspicion should guide the next moves. The seller's modest presentation without fanfare signals a common pattern among serious collectors. The biggest claims rarely come from those seeking attention. Often, they emerge quietly, burdened with history rather than spectacle. This humility can make the story more compelling, countering expectations shaped by flashy salesmanship. Behind the scenes, the staff's body language shifts collectively. Keen instincts alert them to something unusual. They instinctively gather closer, turning down their own conversations, aware that the next moments could change a sale, or even the shop's fortune. Yet beneath the intrigue lies a hard truth. Many people who believe they hold a treasure are mistaken. Stories passed down through generations often outgrow their factual roots. Rick's default stance is skepticism, requiring proof beyond passion or legend before committing funds. This tension between hope and reality sets the stage for the careful scrutiny to come, as trust must be earned detail by detail, not assumed. With the sword now in sharp focus, the expert's arrival signals that the line between legend and proof is about to be tested. The moment invites everyone to witness how history either reveals itself or slips quietly away. Expert authentication process. The arrival of the expert marks a shift in the atmosphere, transforming casual curiosity into focused scrutiny. The examination of the Ashfield saber is no light task. Authenticating a historical weapon takes time, precision, and a deep knowledge of period craftsmanship. The expert handles the sword with gloved hands, aware that every mark, metal quality, and design detail can alter the value and legitimacy of the artifact. There's no rush. Accuracy is paramount. Using magnification tools and specialized lighting, the expert studies the blade's carbon steel, noting its thickness, sharpness, and workmanship. These technical assessments reveal whether the sword's construction matches known examples from the claimed era. The evidence points to excellent craftsmanship. The blade is finely made and consistent with military swords issued during the Second World War. Yet, craftsmanship alone cannot settle every question of provenance or value. The expert also inspects the hilt symbolism, particularly the imperial eagle and crown, which are genuine German military insignia from the period. These authentic design elements add weight to the sword's historical claims, but don't fully verify its unique backstory. For the expert, the goal is to distinguish between what can be confirmed and what remains a matter of legend. This nuanced inquiry is necessary because reproductions and forgeries can mimic many visual features quite convincingly. As the analysis unfolds, the seller's confidence visibly fluctuates. Holding a tangible piece of family lore in the hands of a dispassionate professional reveals the fragile boundary between belief and proof. The sword is no longer just a cherished heirloom. It is subject to hard evidence and critical evaluation. The tension rises as all await the expert's verdict. Rick's demeanor shifts into focused business mode, his questions now directed toward the expert rather than the seller. He knows that expert opinion carries authority, but also understands that judgment will rarely be simple or definitive. Authentication hinges on probabilities and consistencies rather than absolute certainties. These complexities require Rick to recalibrate his expectations carefully. Importantly, the expert cannot declare the sword's market value or confirm the $10 million figure. Such a number cannot be reliably pinned down on the spot, especially when no directly comparable sales exist. Instead, the expert confirms that the sword matches period materials, shows no signs of modern fabrication, and exhibits craftsmanship second to none. This measured appraisal forms the factual backbone on which Rick must base his decision. This moment is a reminder that expert verdicts are less dramatic pronunciations and more considered judgments steeped in expertise and caution. The sword's authenticity is supported, but not unquestionably proven, as a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The expert's calm approach contrasts with the excitement one might expect, but reflects the serious responsibility of valuation. What unfolds is a delicate dance between fact and faith, where evidence guides but doesn't fully dictate outcomes. The expert's measured findings provide clarity, but also reinforce the many unknowns that still linger. Sometimes, a sword is more than just metal. It's a story waiting for proof. Rick Harrison's calculated reaction. Rick's response to the expert's report is subtle but telling. Off-camera, years of experience have trained him to mask impulses. But in this moment, his tightened eyes and longer pause hint at something deeper, genuine uncertainty. This hesitation reveals a rare glimpse behind the usually stoic dealer, who balances belief and skepticism in every high-stakes negotiation. He is neither dismissive nor elated, simply weighing evidence with caution. This measured reaction communicates the core dilemma of Pawn Stars: whether to spend life-changing money on a story that holds promise but lacks flawless proof. Rick's instinct is to avoid rushing judgments because mistakes here can cost millions or waste opportunities. His priority is clear. He can only pay for what he can prove, not for what he hopes or wants to believe. This principle has safeguarded the shop's longevity. Shifting tone, Rick asks the expert follow-up questions, signaling a transition from casual inquiry to serious due diligence. This moment shows Rick the businessman rather than the television personality known for quick barbs and confident calls. The voice drops to a clipped professional cadence, every word measured with care. It's the sound of someone protecting a livelihood as much as a deal. His famous line, paraphrased often by fans, encapsulates this philosophy perfectly. "I want to believe this, but I can't pay you for what I want to believe. I can only pay you for what I can prove." This honest admission strips away dramatics and focuses on the pragmatic reality of high-value buying. It highlights the tension between desire and business rigor, between legend and documentation. In that quiet moment, Rick faces the complex challenge that every collector and dealer encounters, bridging the gap between potential and certainty. The sword's story and quality are compelling, but the missing chain of ownership and incomplete paperwork leave too many questions unanswered. For Rick, those gaps are deal breakers. This internal conflict plays out visibly on Rick's face. He doesn't hastily dismiss the item, nor does he launch immediately into negotiation. Instead, he sits quietly, assessing the risk of overpaying against losing a rare chance. The rare vulnerability in his expression contrasts with the confident facade typically shown to viewers. The scene holds attention not based on excitement, but on responsibility. Rick is acutely aware that a misstep here could have serious financial repercussions. His restraint is a testament to the discipline the pawn business requires, a mix of patience, prudence, and informed judgment. Ultimately, this moment underscores the hardest lesson of all. In the world of rare artifacts, evidence matters more than wishful thinking. Even a sword said to be worth millions must survive the crucible of proof before the sale can proceed. Where legends end, facts take the reins. The expert's examination fades, leaving Rick to make a decision grounded in reality rather than hope. The final negotiation and lesson. After the expert's detailed examination and Rick's careful consideration, the final moment arrives. The sword, once valued by the seller at $10 million, faces the cold realities of proof and market value. Rick offers $250,000, a figure vastly different from the legend, but grounded in what can be substantiated. This number reflects the sword's authenticity as a genuine military artifact from the World War II era, but not the specific famous ownership or campaign claimed. The seller pauses, clearly wrestling with the gulf between the hopeful story and the cautious offer. Taking the deal means accepting a certain sum now, while passing on it holds onto the possibility of a buyer who might pay more once additional proof surfaces. This choice embodies the classic risk versus reward dilemma faced by sellers of rare items. Both paths carry merit: security in the present or faith in the future's unknown. What makes this negotiation so compelling is not just the dollar amounts, but the emotional weight behind the decision. The seller's family history and pride are intertwined with the sword, making it more than a mere object. The process reveals how value encompasses story, memory, evidence, and market realities, a balance difficult to quantify or satisfy. Rick's approach underscores the lesson that credible transactions depend on documented history, not just family legends or impressive claims. He maintains respect for the sword's significance while emphasizing business discipline. This duality is the heartbeat of his role, a gatekeeper between myth and market. This moment also highlights the broader truth of collecting and dealing in historical relics. Many treasures live in the space between certainty and speculation. Provenance is king, yet incomplete provenance does not erase the artifact's meaning. It only complicates its valuation. Buyers and sellers alike must navigate this uncertain terrain with patience and pragmatism. After the deal, the seller chose to accept Rick's offer, prioritizing guaranteed funds over potentially elusive, higher payoffs. This practical decision reflects a common reality in the world of rare items, where stories drive hope, but proofs drive commerce. It's a reminder that in this business, faith alone rarely closes a sale. As the episode closes, the Ashfield saber leaves the pawn shop not as a $10 million legend, but as a $250,000 piece of confirmed history. The gap between belief and proof remains a defining tension, demonstrating that real value emerges only through careful validation. The story lingers beyond numbers as a testament to how discipline, verification, and honest skepticism govern the complex business of rare artifacts. It is a lesson for anyone fascinated by treasures. Excitement must always be tempered by evidence. Ultimately, the Ashfield saber's journey proves that history is most powerful when its claims can withstand scrutiny. Its worth did not disappear when the grandest story fell apart. Instead, a grounded and credible legacy emerged. The seller walked away with certainty. Rick secured a remarkable artifact, and viewers were left with a deeper understanding of how experts separate possibility from fact. In the world of collectibles, the strongest stories are not merely repeated. They are researched, tested, documented, and earned. This final negotiation stands as a quiet victory for reason in the midst of myth. The story of the Ashfield saber reminds us that true value lies in what can be proven, not just hoped for. Rick's measured caution teaches us the importance of separating fact from legend in every big claim. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, mystery, and the art of appraisal, be sure to like and subscribe for more stories that reveal what really lies beneath the surface. Thanks for watching.